My sister betrayed me and married my millionaire fiancé. 7 years later, she bragged she had it all. I smiled. Have you met my husband yet? You know that moment when you're about to face something you fear, but your gut tells you the universe is about to reveal a huge, undeniable truth? That was me, standing at my mother's. The keys jingled in my hand, a familiar, comforting sound, as I stood before my front door. My very own front door. After 5 years of grinding overtime, penny pinching, and saying no to every vacation my friends suggested, I finally had my dream house. The morning sun caught the brass doorknob, glinting like a promise, and I couldn't help but smile. This was really happening. I still can't believe you did it, Claire. Audrey's voice crackled through my phone speaker as I pushed the door open, the sound echoing in the empty space. A whole house at 28. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to figure out how to keep my succulents alive. I laughed, dropping my bag on the hardwood floor, the thud strangely loud. Trust me, it doesn't feel real yet. I keep expecting someone to jump out and tell me there's been a mistake. Your mom called me again, by the way. My hand froze on the light switch. What did she want this time? The usual. Asking if I knew where you moved to. Saying she's worried about you living alone. Audrey's sigh carried through the phone, a weary, knowing sound. I told her what you said, that you'd contact her when you're ready. Thanks. I walked through my empty living room, footsteps echoing, the vast silence a luxury I hadn't known I craved. I just need some time to settle in without her. Without her trying to take over everything. Exactly. I pressed my forehead against the cool window glass, looking out at my small front yard. Remember when I got my first apartment? She showed up unannounced with new curtains and rearranged my entire kitchen because she knew better. Oh God, and then she tried to. Audrey's voice cut off as I heard a car door slam outside. My stomach dropped, a cold, sickening plunge. A familiar blue sedan had pulled into my driveway. No, no, no. I whispered, watching as my mother stepped out of the driver's seat, her perfectly styled hair catching the morning light. Dad emerged from the passenger side, and my younger brother Miles tumbled out of the back, stretching dramatically. Claire, what's wrong? They're here. How did they? I never told them. My voice cracked, raw with a sudden, suffocating panic. I have to go. I ended the call just as the doorbell rang. A loud, insistent peal. Taking a deep breath, I opened the door. Surprise. Mom threw her arms around me before I could speak, crushing me in a tight embrace. Oh, sweetie, we've been so worried. Why didn't you tell us you were moving? Mom, Gordon, Miles, bring in the bags. She brushed past me into the house, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor, already taking ownership. Oh, these rooms are so empty. Good thing we brought some things to help you settle in. Bags. I watched in horror as Dad and Miles trudged up my driveway, each carrying multiple suitcases, duffel bags, and boxes. Wait, what's going on? Hey, sis. Miles grinned, dropping a duffel bag in my entryway. Nice place. Where's my room going to be? Your room. The words came out as a squeak, barely audible. Mom reappeared from her self-guided tour, beaming. We thought since you have this big house all to yourself, it would be perfect for all of us to stay while we figure things out. Your father's between jobs right now, and the rent on our place is just ridiculous. But I bought this house for myself. My voice sounded small, even to my own ears, a child's desperate plea. I worked really hard, and we worked really hard raising you. Mom cut in, her smile never wavering, but her eyes sharp, cold, an underlying steel. That's what family does, Claire. We support each other. Now, which bedroom were you planning to use? I think your father, and I should take the master. You know how his back gets with smaller beds. I stood there, mouth open, as my family moved around me like a river around a rock, flowing around an unmoving obstacle. Dad was already carrying bags upstairs, and Miles had flopped onto the floor, scrolling through his phone, completely at ease. Oh, and honey, Mom called from the kitchen. We'll need to get some proper curtains in here. These windows are completely bare. I'm thinking something in burgundy to match the sofa we brought. You brought a sofa? I managed to choke out the absurdity of it all. Of course. You can't have a proper home without a proper sitting area. The moving truck will be here tomorrow. The room started spinning slightly. I gripped the door frame, watching as my carefully planned new life crumbled around me. Through the window, I could see my reflection. Pale, wide-eyed, trapped. Behind me, Mom was opening and closing kitchen cabinets, already planning her reorganization. Claire, she called out. Where do you keep your coffee filters? Never mind, I brought some of mine. You always buy the wrong kind anyway. I closed my eyes, my nails digging into my palms. This was supposed to be my fresh start. My independence. My triumph. Instead, it felt like I was 16 again, watching my mother rearrange my bedroom because she knew best. The sound of another suitcase thumping upstairs made me jump. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. But it was. 3 days. It had taken exactly 3 days for my house to become unrecognizable. I stood in the doorway of my living room, or what used to be my living room, staring at the burgundy monstrosity that had replaced my carefully planned furniture layout. Mom, where's my reading chair? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, but a tremor betrayed me. Oh, that old thing? She barely looked up from arranging throw pillows on her sofa, her voice dismissive. It's in the garage. This setup makes much more sense for the space, don't you think? Before I could answer, Miles bounded down the stairs. Hey, I invited some friends over tonight. That cool? Perfect. Mom clapped her hands, beaming. I'll make my famous lasagna. Claire, honey, run to the store and get some groceries. Here's the list. She thrust a piece of paper into my hands. I glanced down at the lengthy list, my chest tightening. Mom, I can't keep buying groceries for everyone. I have a mortgage to pay. Don't be silly. She waved her hand dismissively, her eyes sharp, piercing. We're family. Besides, your father and I raised you for 18 years. Did we ever ask you to pay for groceries then? That's different, and you know it is. Is it? She turned to face me fully, her expression hardening, a familiar coldness settling over her features. We gave up so much for you and your brother. Vacations we never took. Promotions your father turned down to be there for your school events. Now we need a little help, and suddenly you're too good for your family? That's not what I'm going to pretend you didn't say any of that. She cut me off, turning back to her pillows, her voice a dismissive flutter. The store closes at 8. Don't forget the fresh basil this time. I grabbed my keys and fled to my car, hands shaking as I started the engine, the roar of the motor a temporary escape. My phone buzzed. A text from Audrey. How's the invasion going? Instead of replying, I called her. She's redecorating. Everything. I burst out as soon as she answered. Everything, Audrey. She moved my furniture to the garage and brought in her own. Dad's watching TV all day in my house, and Miles is treating it like a crash pad for his friends. Can't you just tell them to leave? I laughed bitterly, pulling into the grocery store parking lot. You've met my mother. She'd turn it into this huge thing about how I'm abandoning them, how ungrateful I am. She's already playing the "we sacrificed everything for you" card. That's manipulation, Claire. I know. I rested my head on the steering wheel, the cool plastic a small comfort against my throbbing temples. But what am I supposed to do? They're my family. They're taking advantage of you. Before I could respond, another text came through from Mom. Don't forget garlic bread. I ended the call with Audrey and dragged myself into the store, grabbing a cart as I moved through the aisles, adding items to my cart. My phone kept buzzing with additional requests from Mom. When I finally got home, arms full of groceries, I heard voices from upstairs. Following the sound, I found Mom in my bedroom, my sanctuary, rearranging my closet. What are you doing? My voice came out sharper than I intended, a raw edge of panic. Your organizational system made no sense, sweetie. I'm fixing it for you. She held up one of my work blouses. And really, Claire, these clothes are so dull. We should go shopping this weekend. The groceries slipped from my arms, cans rolling across the floor with a clang. Get out. Excuse me? Get out of my room. My hands were shaking again, but this time with anger, a fierce, burning rage. This is my space. My clothes. My closet. Mom's face did that thing where she looked both hurt and disapproving at the same time, a perfected manipulation. I'm only trying to help. You've always been so resistant to improvement, Claire. Remember in high school when you insisted on that awful purple hair? If I hadn't stepped in, I'm not in high school anymore, I shouted, surprising us both, the words echoing with a newfound authority. I'm an adult. This is my house. My house that I bought with my money. A long silence followed. Mom carefully placed the blouse back in the closet. Well, she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly, a performative fragility. I see how it is. After everything we've done for you. She brushed past me, pausing in the doorway. I'll start dinner once you've calmed down and remembered your manners. I stood there long after she left, staring at my now reorganized closet. Everything was arranged by color, just like she'd done in my childhood bedroom, just like she'd done in my first apartment, just like she was doing now in the house I'd worked so hard to buy. Downstairs, I could hear Miles's friends arriving, their laughter mixing with the sound of the TV and Mom's voice directing Dad to set the table. My house didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like I was drowning in a sea of family obligations, watching my independence slip away one reorganized drawer at a time. Something had to change. I just didn't know what. And then she rearranged my spice rack alphabetically. Alphabetically? I said, stirring my coffee aggressively, the spoon scraping against the mug. Audrey, who organizes spices alphabetically instead of by use? Audrey and I sat in our usual corner of the local cafe, far enough from other customers that I could vent freely, the quiet hum of conversations a distant background noise. 2 weeks had passed since my family's invasion, and each day brought new frustrations, each minute a fresh erosion of my sanity. Last night, Miles had 6 people over. I continued. 6. They ordered pizza and left the boxes everywhere. When I asked them to clean up, Mom said I was being unwelcoming to my brother's friends. This is insane, Claire. Audrey leaned forward, her eyes wide with concern. You need to set boundaries. I tried. Yesterday, I told them I needed some alone time, and Mom burst into tears about how I'm pushing away my family, just like my cousin Rachel did before she ruined her life, by moving to Florida. My phone buzzed. A text from Miles. Heads up. Having a few people over tonight. Mom says it's cool. I showed Audrey the message, and she nearly knocked over her latte. A few people? It's a Tuesday. At least he warned me this time. I slumped in my chair, the exhaustion a physical weight. Last Thursday, I came home to find 20 people in my backyard. Apparently Miles was networking for his YouTube channel. Claire. Audrey grabbed my hand across the table, her grip firm, grounding. This isn't sustainable. You're miserable. I know, but my phone lit up again. This time it was Adam from work. Hey, got a minute to talk? Important opportunity to discuss. Adam. Audrey raised an eyebrow, a knowing glint in her eyes. The cute project manager? Stop it. I texted back a quick reply. He probably needs help with the Henderson account. Speaking of work, Audrey straightened up. How are you handling working from home with everyone there? I laughed darkly, a humorless sound. I'm not. I've been going to the office every day even though my team is remote. It's the only quiet place I can find. I checked my watch and stood up. Speaking of which, I should head back. Mom's already texted twice, asking what's for dinner. They're not even buying their own food. Nope. Dad's between jobs, remember? And Miles is building his brand. I made air quotes with my fingers, a bitter mockery. Meanwhile, my savings are disappearing faster than my sanity. Back at the office, I found Adam waiting by my desk. There you are, he smiled, running a hand through his dark hair, a confident, easy charm. Got some news you might be interested in. We ducked into a conference room, and he closed the door, the click echoing with a sudden, hopeful finality. The Seattle branch is expanding, he said without preamble. They need someone to head up their digital marketing division. Your name came up in discussions. I blinked. Seattle. Full relocation package. Significant pay bump. Chance to build your own team. He slid a folder across the table. They want someone who can start in 3 weeks. My mind raced. Seattle. 3,000 miles away. Far from my house. From Miles's parties. From Mom's reorganizing. I know it's sudden, Adam continued, sensing my internal debate. But you're perfect for this. Unless there's something keeping you here? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. Mom. Honey, I hope you don't mind, but I donated those boxes from your garage. You clearly weren't using anything in them. My stomach dropped, a cold, sickening plunge. What boxes? The ones with your old photos and yearbooks. That nice charity truck was in the neighborhood. My hands shook as I typed. Those were my memories. You had no right. Don't be dramatic, sweetie. They were just collecting dust. Besides, I needed room for the holiday decorations I brought over. I looked up at Adam, who was waiting patiently. When did they need an answer? End of the week. He tilted his head. Everything okay? You look pale. I'm fine. I stood up abruptly. The urgency is sudden. Consuming need. I need to think about it. But as I drove home that evening, my mind was already spinning with possibilities. Seattle. A fresh start. No family dropping in unannounced. No guilt trips. No borrowed money that was never repaid. I pulled into my driveway behind an unfamiliar truck. Music thumped from inside my house, and I could see silhouettes of people dancing in my living room windows. Inside, Miles was hosting what looked like a full-blown party. Mom sat on her burgundy sofa, chatting with strangers and looking completely at ease. Dad dozed in the corner, oblivious to the chaos. That's when I knew. I pulled out my phone and texted Adam. About that Seattle position. I'm interested. It was time to take back control of my life, even if it meant leaving everything behind. The next morning, I met Adam at a coffee shop far from my usual spots, clutching the Seattle job description like a lifeline. The relocation package includes temporary housing for the first month, Adam explained, pointing to the details. Plus, they'll cover moving expenses. And the timeline? I asked, glancing over my shoulder, a familiar paranoia. Mom had an uncanny ability to show up wherever I was. They want someone to start in 3 weeks, but they're flexible for the right candidate. He paused, studying my face, his expression concerned. Claire, what's really going on? You've seemed different lately. Before I could answer, my phone lit up. Mom again. Sweetie, where do you keep your good towels? The ones in the linen closet are too thin. I turned my phone face down, taking a deep breath. Remember how I bought that house, the one you were so excited about? The words tumbled out, raw and honest, years of bottled-up frustrations spilling out. My family moved in without asking. They just showed up with suitcases and furniture. They're treating it like their house, spending my money, inviting people over, rearranging everything. Adam's eyes widened. That's intense. That's one word for it. I took a shaky breath, the vulnerability a new, unfamiliar sensation. But I can't just kick them out. They're my family. So maybe I need to be the one to leave. And rent out the house. I stared at him, the absurdity of it, the sudden, brilliant solution. What? Well, you can't afford 2 places. But if you rented out your house, it could cover your mortgage while you're in Seattle. He shrugged, a casual suggestion that felt like a thunderbolt. The idea hit me like a lightning strike. I could rent out the house. Legally, my family would have to leave. They couldn't argue with legal documents. And I wouldn't be the bad guy. It would be the circumstances forcing the change. I need to make some calls, I said, standing up. Claire, Adam caught my arm. Whatever you decide, I've got your back. I spent my lunch break meeting with Sarah, a realtor recommended by Audrey. We sat in her office, surrounded by property listings. So, you want to rent out your house? Sarah confirmed, typing on her laptop. Any particular timeline in mind? 3 weeks. I twisted my hands in my lap, the deadline a fierce urgency. Is that even possible with the current market? Absolutely. Especially in your neighborhood. She looked up. But what about your current occupants? I hesitated. They're temporary guests. They'll need to leave once I have renters. Sarah nodded, not pressing further, a knowing look in her eyes. I can have listings up by tomorrow. We'll need to do a walkthrough, take photos. My phone buzzed again. Dad, this time. Your mother's worried about you. You're working too much. Come home early today. Home. It hadn't felt like home since they arrived. How soon can we do the walkthrough? I asked. Tomorrow morning. I have a slot at 10. My family will be there. That's fine. I'll say I'm a friend looking for decoration ideas. Sarah winked. I've dealt with complicated family situations before. The next morning, I introduced Sarah to my mother as my friend from yoga who was looking for interior design inspiration. Mom, always eager to show off her decorating skills, gave a full tour. And these curtains, Mom gestured proudly, completely transformed the space. Claire would have left the windows bare. Can you imagine? Sarah nodded politely, discreetly taking photos on her phone. The natural light is wonderful. And the hardwood floors, original. The house, I said, watching Sarah document everything while pretending to admire Mom's touches. After Sarah left, Mom turned to me. Such a lovely friend. Though I'm surprised you have time for yoga, with how much you're working lately. You're never home anymore. Work's been busy. I mumbled, checking my phone. Sarah had already texted. Photos uploaded. Listing going live tomorrow. Strong rental market. Should have interested parties within days, Claire. Mom's voice sharpened. What are you smiling about? I quickly pocketed my phone. Just a funny message from Audrey. Mom crossed her arms. You've been very secretive lately, having a lot of private meetings and phone calls. I'm an adult, Mom. I'm allowed to have a private life. Of course you are, sweetie. Her tone suggested otherwise. I just worry. You've seemed different since we moved in. Almost like you're pulling away from your family. The guilt hit hard, a familiar, unwelcome pang. But I thought of my donated photos, my dwindling bank account, the strangers constantly parading through my house. I'm not pulling away, I lied. I'm just busy with work. Mom didn't look convinced, but Miles chose that moment to burst in, announcing he needed help setting up for another YouTube filming session in the living room. As Mom rushed off to help him, I checked Sarah's text again. Soon, I told myself. Soon I'd have my life back. I just had to keep the plans secret for a little longer. We have 3 potential tenants, Sarah whispered into her phone, her voice crackling slightly. All with excellent credit and references. They want to view the house this weekend. I paced in the office supply closet, keeping my voice low. I can't do weekend viewings. My family's always there. Claire, we need to move fast. The Seattle position. I know. I pressed my forehead against a shelf of printer paper, the stress a physical ache. What about during work hours? Actually, Sarah paused, a thoughtful hum. The most promising candidate could come tomorrow at 11 o'clock. She's a doctor, single, no pets. Perfect tenant. My heart raced. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Okay, I can. The supply closet door swung open. I spun around to find Mom standing there, arms crossed, her eyes narrowed. Who are you talking to? I shoved my phone in my pocket. Work call. In the supply closet. Her eyes narrowed further. I brought you lunch, but you weren't at your desk. Your colleague said you've been taking a lot of private calls lately. Just busy with a new project. I tried to step past her, but she blocked the doorway. Claire Elizabeth. The use of my middle name sent me straight back to childhood confrontations, a cold shiver down my spine. What are you hiding? Nothing, Mom. I have a meeting to get to. Back at my desk, I texted Sarah. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock works. My family thinks I'm at work anyway. That evening, I found Mom going through my desk drawers at home. What are you doing? I demanded, my voice sharp. Looking for a stamp, sweetie. She didn't even look up. But I found something interesting instead. She held up a Seattle job listing I'd printed. Care to explain? My stomach dropped. It's nothing. Just exploring options. Options. She slammed the drawer shut, the sound echoing through the room. Options to abandon your family after we gave up everything to be here with you? You didn't give up anything. The words burst out before I could stop them, years of resentment boiling over. You showed up uninvited, took over my house, spent my money. How dare you? Mom's voice cracked, her face contorted in a mask of wounded pride. We're your parents. We raised you, supported you, and I'm grateful. But grateful? She laughed bitterly, a harsh, humorless sound. Is that why you're secretly planning to move across the country? Is that why you've been sneaking around taking mysterious phone calls? I'm not sneaking. Don't lie to me. She waved the job listing, a damning piece of evidence. I knew something was wrong. You've been distant, working late, having secret meetings. Now it all makes sense. Dad appeared in the doorway, drawn by the raised voices. What's going on? Our daughter is planning to abandon us. Mom thrust the paper at him. After everything we've done for her. Dad scanned the page, his face falling. Claire, is this true? I looked between them. Mom's theatrical tears, Dad's disappointed frown, and something inside me snapped. Yes, I said quietly. I'm considering a job in Seattle. But what about us? Mom pressed a hand to her chest, her voice a wounded cry. Where would we go? The guilt threatened to overwhelm me, a familiar, insidious tightening. But I thought of the lease agreement sitting in my email inbox, waiting to be signed. I need some air, I muttered, grabbing my keys. Running away again? Mom called after me, her voice laced with accusation. That's becoming a habit. I drove to Audrey's apartment, hands shaking on the steering wheel. She opened her door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. They found out about Seattle. I choked out, the words raw. Not about the lease. No, just the job. I collapsed onto her couch. Mom was going through my desk. She's probably still searching my room for more evidence right now. You need to move faster, Audrey said, her voice firm. Sign the lease agreement tonight. Get those tenants in before your family can guilt you out of it. My phone buzzed with texts from Mom. How could you do this to us after all our sacrifices? Miles is crying. I can't believe you'd break up our family like this. Then one from Dad. Your mother's heartbroken. Please come home, so we can discuss this as a family. They're trying to make me feel guilty. I showed Audrey the messages. It's working. That's manipulation, and you know it. Audrey grabbed my laptop from her coffee table. Let's sign that lease right now. I stared at the document on screen, cursor hovering over the signature line. One click, and there'd be no going back. My phone kept buzzing with guilt-laden messages. I can't keep living like this, I whispered. Then don't. I signed the lease. Audrey hugged me as I burst into tears, relief and guilt and fear all mixing together, a turbulent storm of emotions. The tenants are coming tomorrow at 11 o'clock, I said into her shoulder. I don't know how I'm going to face my family tonight. Stay here, she offered. Deal with it tomorrow. My phone buzzed again. Mom, if you're not home in an hour, we'll know where we really stand with you. I took a deep breath and typed back. I need space tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. Tomorrow, when the new tenants would view the house. Tomorrow, when everything would change. I just had to make it through tonight. At 10:45 the next morning, I sat in my car around the corner from my house, watching Mom's blue sedan pull out of the driveway. She'd texted earlier about taking Dad to a job interview and Miles to meet some potential sponsors for his channel. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Sarah's red SUV pulled up next to me. Ready? I nodded, following her to my front door. A sleek black car parked behind us, and a woman in scrubs stepped out. Dr. Amanda Torres. She introduced herself, shaking my hand. Sorry about the scrubs. Came straight from my shift. No problem at all, Sarah smiled professionally. Shall we begin the tour? Walking through my house felt surreal. Sarah pointed out features while I hung back, watching Dr. Torres nod appreciatively at the hardwood floors and updated kitchen. The previous occupants clearly took good care of the place, Dr. Torres commented, her eyes scanning the pristine surfaces. I bit my lip, thinking of Miles's energy drink stains on the carpet and the scratches his camera equipment had left on the walls. And the neighborhood is wonderfully quiet, Sarah continued as if on cue. My phone buzzed. Mom. Interview finished early. Heading home now. My heart stopped. Sarah? I interrupted. How much more is there to see? Just the upstairs. Sarah smoothly accelerated the tour, while I calculated drive times in my head. Mom was at least 20 minutes away, assuming normal traffic. The master bedroom features an ensuite bathroom, Sarah was saying as we rushed upstairs. Dr. Torres peered into my parents' room. Technically my room, though I hadn't slept there since they arrived. Mom's clothes spilled from the closet, and Dad's crossword puzzle books littered the nightstand. Sorry about that. I gestured vaguely. We can have everything cleared out before. A car door slammed outside. I ran to the window. Mom's sedan was in the driveway. Oh God, I whispered. Sarah, stay calm, she murmured, her voice steady. Then turned to Dr. Torres. Perhaps we should. The front door opened. Claire? Mom's voice called up the stairs, a mix of confusion and irritation. Your car is outside. I thought you were at work. Footsteps on the stairs. My hands started shaking, a cold dread washing over me. Mom appeared in the doorway, freezing at the sight of Sarah and Dr. Torres. What's going on? Mrs. Sarah started. Mom. I stepped forward, taking a deep breath. These are potential tenants. The color drained from her face, going ashen. Tenants. I'm renting out the house. The words came out in a rush, a torrent of liberation. I accepted the Seattle position. Mom's hand flew to her chest, her face contorted in disbelief. You're evicting us? No. I'm renting out my house, which means everyone needs to. How could you? Her voice rose, shrill and wounded. Your own family, throwing us out on the street. Dr. Torres shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps I should come back another? No. Mom cut in. This house isn't for rent. This is our home. Actually, Sarah pulled out some papers, her voice calm and authoritative, cutting through Mom's hysteria. As the legal owner, Claire has every right to. Legal owner? Mom laughed hysterically, a harsh, broken sound. She's my daughter. We changed her diapers, packed her lunches, drove her to soccer practice. Mom, please. Is this what we raised you to be? Someone who would make her own parents homeless. Dr. Torres backed toward the stairs. I'll see myself out. I watched my perfect tenant hurry down the stairs as Mom continued her performance. I can't believe you'd do this to us. After everything. And going. Behind our backs. She turned to Sarah. Did you know she was doing this to her family? What kind of person helps someone evict their own parents? Sarah maintained her professional composure. I'll call you later, Claire. After they left, Mom rounded on me, her face contorted in a mask of fury. How dare you? How dare I? My voice shook, but the anger was a fierce, burning flame. How dare you? You showed up uninvited, took over my house, spent my money, invaded my privacy. We're your family. That doesn't give you the right to control my life. She stepped back as if I'd slapped her, her face crumpling. Control? We love you. We've only ever wanted what's best for you. No, I said quietly, firmly. You want what's best for you. You always have. Mom's face crumpled completely. I'm calling her father. He needs to hear what you're planning. As she stormed out, phone in hand, I sank onto the stairs, the cold with a grounding presence. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Dr. Torres is still interested despite everything. She understands family dynamics can be complicated. I stared at the message, hearing Mom's voice drift up from downstairs. Claire, you need to come home right now. Our daughter. Our own daughter. Another text from Sarah. Lease could be ready by next week. Are you sure you want to do this? Through the window, I watched Dr. Torres drive away, my chance at freedom disappearing down the street. But then I heard Mom's theatrical sobs, her one-sided conversation with Dad about her ungrateful daughter. And I knew. I typed back, "Send the lease." The morning sun hadn't yet risen when I placed the stack of papers on the kitchen table. My hands trembled as I arranged them carefully. The signed lease agreement, the Seattle job offer, and a letter I'd spent all night writing. Upstairs, my family slept soundly, unaware that I'd spent the last week secretly packing my essential belongings into my car, one small box at a time. The rest would go into storage. I'd arranged for movers to come next week. I took one last walk through my house, my first house, my dream house. Mom's burgundy sofa loomed in the darkness. Miles's gaming setup cluttered the corner. Dad's newspaper scattered across the coffee table. All these invasive pieces of their lives that had pushed out my own. My phone vibrated softly. "Audrey, I'm outside. Ready when you are." I pulled the letter from my pocket, reading it one last time. "Mom, Dad, and Miles, by the time you read this, I'll be on my way to Seattle. The lease agreement is legal and binding. Dr. Torres moves in next week. The rent will cover the mortgage, and the house will be well cared for. I'm sorry it had to end this way, but you left me no choice. You didn't just move into my house, you took over my life. Every boundary I tried to set, you ignored. Every attempt at independence, you undermined. I love you, but I can't live like this anymore. Miles, there's a list of affordable apartments on the second page. Dad, I've included contact information for a local job counselor who can help with your search. Mom, I know you'll be hurt and angry, but please try to understand. This isn't about rejecting you. It's about saving myself. I'll call when I'm settled. Love, Claire." A floorboard creaked upstairs. I froze, holding my breath, but the house settled back into silence. Taking a deep breath, I pulled out my phone and typed one last text to my mother. "I love you. I'm sorry it had to be this way." Then I blocked their numbers temporarily just until I could get far enough away that they couldn't guilt me into coming back. Audrey was waiting in her car, coffee cups in the holder. "You okay?" I slid into the passenger seat, my whole body shaking.
"No. Yes."
"I don't know. They'll understand eventually. You don't know my mother." We drove in silence until we reached the storage facility, where I'd been secretly moving my belongings. My car was parked there, packed with everything I'd need for the first month in Seattle. "This feels wrong," I whispered, staring at my loaded car. "Sneaking away like this." "What feels more wrong?" Audrey asked, her voice gentle but firm. "Sneaking away, or letting them continue to take advantage of you?" Before I could answer, headlights swept across us. A familiar blue sedan turned into the storage facility. Oh God. I gripped Audrey's arm. "That's my mom's car." Mom's sedan stopped behind us and she stepped out, still in her nightgown with a jacket thrown over it. "I knew it," she said, her voice carrying in the pre-dawn quiet. "I heard you leaving. Followed you."
"Mom."
"Were you really going to just disappear? Leave a letter like some teenager running away from home?" "I'm not running away," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. "I'm taking control of my life. By abandoning your family? By sneaking around and lying to us. You gave me no choice. Every time I tried to talk to you, you turned it into a guilt trip about everything you've done for me. Because you owe us." The word echoed across the empty parking lot.
"No."
"I don't owe you for raising me. That was your choice. Your responsibility. Not a debt I have to repay." Mom recoiled as if I'd struck her. "How can you be so cruel?" "Cruel." I laughed, a broken sound. Cruel is moving into someone's house without asking. Cruel is spending their money, rearranging their life, and making them feel guilty for wanting independence. "Claire." Audrey touched my arm. "The sun's coming up. If you want to make it to Seattle by tonight." Mom's eyes widened. "You're leaving now? Today?" "Yes." I took a deep breath. "The lease is on the kitchen table. Dr. Torres moves in next week. You have 7 days to find a new place." "Claire, please. I love you, Mom, but I can't let you control my life anymore." I got into my car before she could respond, hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. In my rearview mirror, I saw Mom standing in the pale morning light, getting smaller and smaller until she disappeared completely. My phone started ringing, Dad's number, then Miles, then Mom again. I turned off my phone and pointed my car east, toward Seattle. Toward freedom. Toward a life that would finally be my own. The sun rose behind me as I drove away from everything I'd ever known, terrified and exhilarated, and for the first time in months, breathing freely. The Seattle rain tapped against my apartment window as I scrolled through my emails. Dr. Torres's latest rent payment had cleared, along with her message. House is perfect as always. Garden's coming along nicely. My phone lit up with Audrey's face. Have you checked your mail today? She asked without greeting. No, why? Just check it. I walked down to my building's mailroom, phone pressed to my ear. If this was another care package from Mom. Among the usual junk mail sat a thick envelope with my mother's handwriting. Inside was a check for every penny I'd spent on groceries and utilities during their stay, and a letter. Claire. I read aloud to Audrey. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Keep reading. The day you left, I was so angry, hurt, convinced you were being selfish and cruel. But watching Dr. Torres make your house her home, seeing how she respects the space and maintains it, it made me realize how we didn't. We took advantage. We trampled your boundaries. We treated your achievement as our entitlement. Dad found a job last month. Miles finally rented his own place. Turns out having to pay bills is great motivation for actually monetizing that YouTube channel. And I've been seeing a therapist. She helped me understand that my need to control your life wasn't about love. It was about my own insecurities. I was so afraid of losing you that I ended up pushing you away. The check enclosed is for everything we should have contributed. I know it doesn't make up for what we did, but it's a start. I'm proud of you, Claire. Proud of your strength, your success, and yes, even proud that you stood up to me. You're not the daughter I tried to force you to be. You're better. Love, Mom. P.S. If you're open to it, I'd like to visit. Just visit. Not move in. I promised to ask first this time. My hands shook as I finished reading. Audrey. Keep looking in the envelope. I pulled out a photograph, my old reading chair, restored and reupholstered, sitting in what looked like a storage unit. Another text message popped up, this one from Miles. Found this in Mom's storage unit. Remember how she donated it? She actually kept everything she took from your house. Said she was waiting until she earned the right to return it. I don't know what to say, I whispered to Audrey, tears stinging my eyes. Say you'll call her. She's trying, Claire. Really trying. I stared at the check, the letter, the photo. What if it's another manipulation? Then you hang up. You set boundaries. You're stronger now. Back in my apartment, I looked around at my space. My furniture arranged my way. My schedule set by my needs. My life finally my own. I'd proven I could stand on my own feet. Maybe now I could try reaching out without fear of being pulled under. I dialed Mom's number. Claire, her voice was tentative, unsure, so different from her usual confidence. I got your letter. Oh, a pause. I meant every word. I know. And surprisingly, I did know. The mom I'd fled from would have written a guilt-laden manifesto. This letter felt different. Honest, real. How's Seattle? Rainy, but good. I'm leading my own team now. That's wonderful. She hesitated. I've been following Dr. Torres's house blog. She's doing amazing things with your garden. My old garden, I corrected gently. It's her garden now. Yes, of course. Another pause. Claire'd about visiting? Mom, I already booked a hotel, she rushed out. 3 days next month. Just me, not Dad or Miles. And only if you're comfortable. I can cancel if. Mom, I interrupted. That sounds nice. The silence that followed felt like a held breath releasing. Really? Really? We can try dinner first. See how it goes. I'd like that. Her voice cracked slightly. I've missed you, sweetheart. The real you. Not the version I tried to create. I looked at the photo of my reading chair, the one piece of furniture that had been uniquely, undeniably mine. The fact that she'd saved it, preserved it, waited until she'd earned the right to return it. I've missed you too, Mom. After we hung up, I stood at my window, watching Seattle's rain-slicked streets below. 6 months ago, I'd fled across the country, terrified and angry and hurt. Now here I stood, stronger, independent, and maybe, just maybe, ready to build a new kind of relationship with my family. One with boundaries. One with respect. One where love didn't mean control. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Just booked a dinner reservation for next month. Cancelable up to 24 hours before. Ball's in your court, sweetheart. I smiled and typed back. Looking forward to it. This time I meant it. Claire's story is a powerful illustration of enmeshed family dynamics and the critical role of boundary setting in reclaiming personal autonomy and well-being. Her mother's pervasive control, disguised as concern and love, is a classic pattern of parental over-involvement and emotional enmeshment, where the parent derives identity and purpose from managing the child's life, often undermining the child's independent decision-making and sense of self. The invasion of Claire's new home and the constant guilt-tripping, after everything we've done for you, are forms of covert emotional manipulation designed to keep Claire dependent and compliant. Claire's eventual decision to lease her house, accepting the Seattle promotion, and leaving a letter rather than confronting them directly, represents a strategic act of detachment and self-preservation. This allows her to escape the immediate, emotionally charged conflict and create physical and psychological distance necessary for healing. The later, genuine apologies and changes from her family, particularly her mother's journey to therapy and acknowledgement of her own insecurities, highlight the potential for growth and healthier relationships once firm boundaries are established and maintained. It underscores that true love fosters independence, not control. Claire's journey to reclaim her life and set boundaries with her controlling family highlights the painful truth that sometimes the only way to save yourself is to leave. After enduring years of emotional manipulation and disrespect, what would you consider to be the most crucial step Claire took in ultimately achieving peace and rebuilding a healthier relationship with her mother, and why was it so effective?